I'm Green Deane, and yes, we're sitting in my kitchen for a change. We do that every now and then because I'm going to show you how to make vinegar. It's going to be a process that's going to take a few weeks, so we're going to have to do this in segments, and this will be the first segment. And a lot of people, and when I say make vinegar, I don't mean go out and buy some white vinegar and put some spices in it. I mean, how do you actually make vinegar? Well, it's an involved process. And I tried it for many years and didn't succeed whatsoever. And then one time when I was trying to do something else completely different, I stumbled on how to collect vinegar mother, and I've been making vinegar ever since. So what you have to do is you have to collect a vinegar mother. Now, the normal process is you have a wine or a beer. Actually, you have grape juice and you have malt, and you throw in a yeast, and the yeast turns the sugar in that must to alcohol. And then to get vinegar, you have to put acid bactar in there, and the acid bactar, which is a bacteria, it changes the alcohol into acetic acid, which is your vinegar. So it's a two-step process. You have to have an alcoholic beverage without a preservative in it. Then you have to introduce the vinegar bacteria to make vinegar. And how do you get the vinegar bacteria? Well, there's two ways. You can go down to the local wine and beer supply place and buy some mother. It usually costs you $5 to $10, a little bottle. And it's all the mother you'll ever need because it reproduces more than you'll ever know. You have one little piece of mother, you'll have all kinds of mother. And it'll reproduce forever and you'll have a nice vinegar. But when I was doing it, I wanted to have my own vinegar strain. I know a type of vinegar that nobody else on earth had. And that required collecting some acid bactar, collecting my own vinegar bacteria. And let me be frank and honest, it comes from the feet of dirty little flies. So how do you collect that? Well, I stumbled upon the way, and here's the way to do it. And since this is going to be a process, and you can also go to EatTheWeeds.com and go way, way down to the bottom of my archives, and I'll tell you how to make vinegar there. But I'll show you here today. I think I have all the things I need. First of all, you need a plastic 2-quart bottle. And I say a plastic 2-quart bottle because later on we're going to be cutting this and you're going to be fishing in size, so this is the size you want. And you take one banana peel, eaten by the way. Just the banana's gone, but the peel's here. You put the banana peel into the jar. This is a messy portion of the show, folks, and it's just the way it goes, and that's it. Now, why would we do this? Well, you want something that attracts the flies, and the smell of the banana does that very nicely. And without that, it actually doesn't work well. And you don't have to have all the banana peeling in there, but for the sake of the show, we'll do that. There you go. We have the entire banana peeling in there. And I got myself a towel to wipe my hands on it. Okay, we've done that. Next thing we need is 2 cups of sugar. I happen to have 2 cups here. Now these measurements don't have to be exact. It can be 1.5 cups. You know, it could be a little more. It really doesn't make much difference. What we just need in there is just enough sugar so that it can be made into alcohol. And we'll help that along by adding 2 cups of water. Now again, the measurements don't have to be exact. It could be 1.5 cups. What we're trying to do is get somewhere near a 50% sugar solution, but it's not necessary. So what do we have in there now? We have a banana peeling, a couple of cups of sugar, and a couple of cups of water. And just for aroma, we're going to throw in a little vinegar. Not a lot, just a splash. You know, maybe a teaspoonful. That's it. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to attract the flies that have the acid bactar on their feet. Now, what do we do with this? Well, we take a string, a good size string, and we tie it around here. Make sure it's good and tight. And you're going to take this and you're going to hang it in the shade, outside where it's warm. Preferably where not too much rainwater gets inside. So you know, underneath a branch someplace, an eave would work. But what you really want is in the shade because acid bactar does not like to grow in the sun. So you need to put it in the shade and you need to hang it from an eave or from a branch and try to keep it fairly well protected from heavy rains. You can't put it on the ground because animals will come around and tip it over, or ants will find it. You'll go out and check it every few days, but in about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, perhaps even as long as a month, you'll notice floating down inside a lot of insect parts. That's simply the way it goes. And by the way, all vinegar is started this way, so the vinegar you buy commercially came from the same humble origins. You'll see insect parts down in there. And in one of those days, you look down inside there and you'll see something that kind of looks like a cloud. Really looks like a cloud in there. It's kind of hazy or like hail. And that's the beginning of your vinegar mother. So what you do at that time, and we'll talk about it later, is you'll then cut the top of the bottle off. You will reach down inside that horrible mess and all those insect body parts, and you will pull out the vinegar mother, and then you'll start to process that to grow it into a vinegar mother to make your own vinegar. The only downside to doing this is you're collecting a wild vinegar. That wild vinegar may throw a good flavor, it may throw a bad flavor, it may make a lot of vinegar, and it may make very little. So there's a gamble there on what type you're going to get. But you can end up with your own vinegar mother, making your own vinegar, and we will visit this in a few months or a few weeks, probably just a few weeks after this thing collects the vinegar. It has been 2 weeks since we put this little plastic bottle out. So let's cut the top off and dig out our mother. I've noticed a mother down inside there. So we're going to dig it out, and now what's it look like? It looks like something that you hate to be so graphic. The last time you had a bad cold, got out of your chest system. And let's see if we can just hold this up to the camera here a little so you can see the mess that's down inside there. Isn't that lovely? This is what we're looking for. To reach down. I suspect, you know, that you could actually just use some juice. There's all those little insects and some, but here I have a little over a cup of beer that I've allowed to sit out and lose the fizz. But here's a little bit of the vinegar mother right there. Get rid of that insect. Just going to drop it in. That's really all I need. Really, that's all I need, although I might fish around for a little bit more. I suspect you could actually just use the filtered liquid. Matter of fact, let's be brilliant about this. And just to keep this fairly clean, use a little coffee filter, pour some of this liquid in there. And that should do it. So what I have now is I have the acid bactar and the little mother that I found in here, and it will create a new mother on the top of this liquid in a couple of weeks, and we'll put it in a nice little dark warm closet, and we'll come back and visit it, and you'll see a nice plug sitting up there, and this will actually start to turn, it'll actually turn this beer into malt vinegar. Well, this is phase 3 of making vinegar. If you remember correctly, we collected the bacteria, we inoculated the beer and put it in a dark warm place, which is a closet behind my refrigerator. If you look closely, you can see a white mass. That floating white mass on the beer is actually the mother turning the beer into vinegar. And I'll take it out in a moment. A vinegar mother will keep right on growing as long as there's alcohol for it to eat, and it'll actually fill the jar, which is why you only need one good mother. It also sinks easily, but then forms a new layer on top. The part that sank is usable. So let's take another look at it. You know, from start to finish, this process only took me about 3 weeks, and so I'll do the same thing for you. And here we have a vinegar mother. See that there? It'll actually will form a plug or something like that. Now, this has a good flavor and a good aroma, so it's going to work out very, very, very well. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes you get a bad aroma and a bad flavor, or it'll make a weak vinegar, or even make your vinegar sweet, oddly enough. So you have to sometimes keep doing it 2 or 3 times until you get good vinegar. Now what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll drop it into a gallon of beer. That's the easiest because you can buy beer any place and it doesn't have any preservatives. Or some chalice wine which has no preservatives, or your own wine that you made with no preservatives, or some hard cider which you made from one of my other recipes here. And you let it set for a few weeks and you'll actually have vinegar. Then you pour it off into bottles, sulfite it, or heat it, either way, and it'll stop the bacterial action, and you'll end up with your own homemade vinegar. And that's how it's done. Now in commercial operations, they actually have a big vat with a spigot at the bottom. They just keep draining it off the bottom. And your mother will keep on growing as long as you keep on feeding it. So once you have a good mother, you have a mother for all times. So that's how you make your homemade vinegar. Now I want to thank you for joining me on my 33rd video here at EatTheWeeds.com. You can go to EatTheWeeds.com for more information on how to make vinegar. And so until next time, I'm Green Deane. I want you to think green, I want you to eat green, and that includes your own homemade vinegar. Now, where did I put that salad? Oliver, you got my salad? Oliver Whitecat. Toodles.